again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man, and today we're looking at a white model 431 super heavy duty cast iron 15 class side load. When I tell you it's a 15 class, it takes a 15 class bobbin, Singer, standard. Bernina uses it, Nicky uses it. It's very, very common. A lot of you'll see will be a front load. This one's a side load, which is real close to being like an industrial, like a Singer 3115 or any of the Taylor machines from back in the day. This will sew some heavy stuff. It's going to be limited by its thread. All the industrial machines use heavy thread. Household machines use all-purpose dual-duty thread. So you're limited by your thread. But what it has is a lot of features that are simple. It's very basic. It's not going to be like this week I worked on a whole bunch of machines this week. And a lot of them had sad endings because they would sew a straight stitch, but all the electronics were doing goofy stuff, like shut it off and let it cool down, or, you know, ask me tomorrow, like the Magic 8 Ball. A lot of the electronic stuff is starting to go south. So I tell people, have one of these as a backup. If you've got a project to get out, one of these will get the job done. Now, this little guy was not made in Japan, was not made in Taiwan. It was made in Korea, believe it or not. And I saw it on the back. I didn't even know they made them in Korea. But they don't tell me a lot of stuff. The White Company, you know, for the longest time, they made them for Sears. They made a lot of great machines. And then after World War II, they got in a lot of difficulties. They ended up merging with Husqvarna Viking. Wow. Talk about a blind date that went bad. Husqvarna Viking, of course, did away with white and kept the Husqvarna Viking. Poor choice. They should have kept the white name and made a nice machine like this one. Nice chrome parts, brass parts. You got a patch and darner up here. You got the drop feed over here, so you can do your freehand monogramming. When looking at these, always make sure that you see the little cleat on here that winds the bobbin, that goes in the slot. If that's ground off, you don't want the machine. Always look for the nice, crisp little pin there that goes into your bobbin to wind it. This has the 15 class standard clutch release on the side. To release it, it's got the fractional horsepower motor, and they really get some RPMs. They'll get up and go, and it's easy to service. Take it apart, set your clutch, and of course when you put it in the mode of fly, it will zoom. Let's get the clutch tight. That's usually a fundamental thing. And I always do this with the machines. I know if it'll do this, it'll do everything you do, because nobody sews this fast. If it'll do this, won't break the thread, won't shred the thread. That's a quality machine right there. Now if you want to do some freehand monogramming, mending, you know, you push your button down for your drop feed, you take your pressure off the top, make sure your needle's up, put it in a zigzag mode like about there, and then you do some freehand monogramming if you want to. I sold these things like hotcakes. Maybe not this particular one. It was a 400 series. Maybe it wasn't made in Korea back then. I don't know if I paid attention, but if I paid attention. Put your feet back up and your back. People ask me, can you make anything but an R? No, I can only make an R. I made those a million times. When I demonstrated these for people, I showed them how it zigzag, showed them how it straight stitch, how it made the hem stitch, which really nobody ever did. Had a built-in 4-step buttonhole, which usually made a pretty nice one. It's a nice little machine. If you want to do some heavy duty stuff, we call these thumb busters because this was the action right here. If you want to do, my boss who owned the store would put these in the paper and said they had decorative stitches because they had to compete with the ones that did. Built-in decorative stitches. Now, that was technically a scam, but I would make it do a built-in decorative stitch. I put the stitch down real close to zero and do the thumb buster action, which is this right here. Technically what you've done is make a decorative stitch, you know, zigzag with little bumps and things on it, and you're limited by your imagination only. You can make as many decorative stitches as you want to make. Of course, back then, if you ran an ad in the newspaper and you told somebody you did something that didn't do it, they would get you for deceptive trade practices, and they would come in and arrest you and take you away. See, there's the decorative stitches we had to do. And once you did it, you're off the hook, because I remember once in Fort Worth, Texas, the Montgomery Wards They wanted to make an example out of them, and the fine folks of Austin's came up and came into the appliance department and arrested about a half dozen guys and made sure the newspaper was there so they could tell people we're not putting up with the foolishness in the way you're running ads. And everybody was on the margins of running ads and making machines sellable. But this was a good little machine. I mean, they just say here's a good little zigzag, heavy duty, weighs a ton. It'll get the work out. It's a genuine white. This is not a decal. It's not a stick-on, not a screw-on. That's a genuine white, and it was a nice little machine. And if you can find one of these at a garage sale, estate sale, at a I don't know, maybe even online. If you buy them online, you have to make sure that they pack them tight inside the carrying case. These are real nice ABS carrying cases. If you can get these carrying cases, they are just absolutely the best. When I sold these to people, I would stand on top of them. I would jump up and down on them to let them know that this thing was very stout. And I could jump up and down on it and it wouldn't even give. I mean, this thing's just absolutely awesome. Carrying case alone back then was probably $50. It's probably worth that or more now because it does a real good job. It really holds the machine in place. So if you can get one of these, see if you can get one of these ABS plastic carrying cases instead of the wooden ones, because they fall apart. They just can't take the stress of this heavy machine getting banged around. They send you one in on the internet. If you buy one from Shop Goodwill, My Goodwill, where it is online, make sure they pack it inside, no movement, and hopefully you'll get one with a real nice foot control like this. That's the kind of foot control you want to get. That's a real nice one. So all things considered, grab one of these online. You've got to give them $100 for it, $150, $50 for shipping. You're still doing okay because it's just about indestructible as long as you don't bang it around. You're not going to wear it out sewing with it. These will have more of a mishap shipping them than they will sewing. You're not going to sew anything that's going to hurt you. You'll break a needle or whatever. But great little machine. I recommend it if you can find one. Continuing in the heavy duty series, here's one, the white 431.